welcome back to 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. I am your host, Gabriel Baskin from the Search for Tiki. We are sponsored by Plantation Rum, and tonight is a very special night indeed because it's not just any regular interview, it's Mixology night, and we're going to talk to Adrienne from Plantation Rum, and we're going to talk to Cory and Hannah and Diana. I've got so many questions to ask all these people. I'm super excited to pick their brains. We usually talk about like ceramics oftentimes in these chat and not so much the cocktails. So that's exciting for me. I hope you do have your cocktails ready. We're drinking the Roaming Skull tonight, which is a bridge cocktail from the Smuggler's Cove recipe book. Smuggler's Cove is awesome. And with that said, I'm going to bring in Adrienne first to talk about Plantation Rum, and then we'll bring on our other guests in just a short while.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, Gabe?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you to Plantation Rum for sponsoring 13 Nights of Tiki Frights.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and to talk with some really awesome tiki bartenders, really super talented people. So we'll see, how contentious the daiquiri build questions are going to be. What are we going to, I'm excited to see what boils.
We got some controversial questions.
Controversial.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. I was super excited. So when I was looking for a rum sponsor, this is the third year of 13 Nights of Tiki Frights, but it's actually the first year we've had a rum sponsor, and we've dug into 13 cocktail recipes. And Plantation Rum was my number one choice.
Thank you.
In for many reasons, but largely because rum kind of gets a bad rap as being like a one-note cocktail, and I think we're still kind of beating back this image that rum isn't a diverse spirit, when in fact it's one of the most diverse spirits in the world. And knowing that I had to make 13 cocktails, I did not want to get stuck with a rum company that just kind of pigeonholes themselves in one category. And Plantation Rum has a full spread of rums from all over the place that are all very specific and designed to make tiki cocktails taste great, which is what we love. So Thank you, Plantation Rum.
Yeah, of course. It's kind of how I got into this company as well, from a tiki bartending background, right? Like having access to rum from everywhere was really exciting for me. So I took the plunge to the supplier world, and I haven't looked back. But Plantation Rum, what we do is we have rum from everywhere. We have our own production in Jamaica and Barbados. In Jamaica with our partners in the National Rums of Jamaica, NRJ. And then in Barbados, full ownership there with our dedicated team. Don Ben, the master distiller, has been there for almost 25 years. Dario Jordan and the fermentation team, Terry and Gabrielle, doing amazing things. So we have a lot of really great rum that we're making on our own. But what is unique about the brand in general, when we launched in 1999, all of those years ago, was showing off diversity of rum, exactly what you're talking about, just having rum from everywhere, having rum from Guyana, Peru, Fiji, obviously Jamaica, Barbados, but just wherever we could find a unique distillate, right? And every country is completely unique. There's different know-how, there's different terroir, there's different climates, microclimates, even within the same countries, right? So all of that is going to affect the rum. And then what we do specifically with our rums, they're double aged, which is not a technique we invented. It is kind of a revival technique that was based out of necessity, just having the need to transport rum from one place to another, and you would fill in whatever barrel you had laying around. This is predating, the bottled world that we know today. So we're like, oh, we have a lot of cognac barrels. Let's see what that tastes like. And we decided it was delicious. So we do double aging for our aged rums in a second finish of cognac cask because we have Ferrand cognac, but still under the same Ferrand family. It's one owner, CEO, technically family owned by Alexander Gabriel. And we are a brand within that family. Stades is the West Indies Rum Distillery brand. So we have that as well. It's a Total Wine exclusive. So if you have a Total Wine and More in your neck of the woods, check that one out. And then we also represent, anytime I'm out, I like to show off our partners with NRJ as well. So Moni Musk and Long Pond specifically. Yeah.
I think it is. It's definitely worth noting, like when you look at Plantation Rum, I think there's this perception that you guys may be bigger than you are just because the branding
Yeah.
and on point with like, I don't even know what this is called, but like the thatching.
It's Raffia, R-A-F-I-A.
Okay, Raffia.
Mhm.
But it's so good and so appealing that it's easy to think that, hey, this is like a giant company, but it's, it's not. It's still
Yeah,
a relatively small brewer.
We're a small team technically. The US, I guess the US like team in total is less than 20 people, including the vice president. We try to keep things kind of small, and we've been really lucky. We care about our production and we care about our facilities and our bottling and the blending, of course, but we also have a really dedicated group of fans, people who just agree with what we're into and are into the blends and find them useful for their tiki programs or bar programs and beyond, right? We kind of something for everybody. We have the extreme for technical rum fans who are into extremely old, extremely rare spirits, but then we also have some accessible blends that are crushers for your well or easy sipping rums. It's kind of like, and then we have pineapple rum, and we've just launched a coconut rum in Barbados. So we're always doing something, right? Like it's really exciting to be a part of a team that just every couple of months we're going to have something new in a bottle to show off. So I don't get bored. That's true.
That's Diggins fancy is I have to say I think because of Martin Kate, right? And you read Smuggler's Cove and he's like, don't drink rum that has other things infused in it because you can do that at home.
Sure.
But then I tried Diggins fancy and man, that thing is good. I have to say.
Well, the fancy, it's not just an infusion, and I think that's what makes it harder to recreate, harder to make at home because it has a fresh pineapple distillate in addition to an infusion. So it's kind of a blend of a pineapple distillate, kind of like the essence of pineapple mixed with an infusion, like a proper infusion.
It works. No, I would say so. Like in my top list, like any home bar person is going to have the list of rums that they think needs to be like, these are the rums that you want in your house. And I think part of that is they have to taste good. They have to be, able to be incorporated into cocktails, which some of the high-end rums, you don't really want to put them in cocktails. They're great, not cocktail worthy. And then you just have to be affordable. So Plantation 3 stars and Plantation OFTD are two of my top 5 all-time must-have in your home bar.
Heck
it's the
yes.
Good stuff.
Agreed. Yeah.
And
I
with
would agree
that
with that
said,
statement way before.
with that said, we do have a few other people we want to bring on.
Bring on the team.
Let's see if we can get them in here. We got Cory.
Hey.
How's it going, Cory? And Hannah? How's it going, Hannah?
Yeah.
And Diane.
Diana.
Aloha, everyone.
What's up?
I would like to get us started with, let's call it the hot seat or a rapid questionnaire of specific questions targeted to each of you.
Ooh.
Some of them are easy. Some of them are, you'll probably hate me for asking these questions. But now that you're on live, you can't go away. So with that said, let's start with Cory. We'll put him in the hot seat first here. All right, Cory. People are going crazy for Tiki Tatsu-Ya. I have not yet been, but people love it. People rave about it. It's like one of the hot tiki bars going on right now. What is the hype about?
I think we're just really diving deep into those classic tiki drinks and like just getting the ingredients right on them, basically. Like our orgeat just takes work to make. Just diving deep on the whole, like taking care in the process of making the drinks. And all of our drinks are going to have unique rum blends in them. It's a little bit more difficult to get rum down here in Texas than it was in my future or my past, like in Chicago and even Hawaii. But we're figuring it out and just like tweaking these rum blends to where they make these old classic cocktails really, really good. Doing that old Don the Beachcomber 3 rum kind of deal. But the whole ambiance of Tiki Tatsu-Ya is pretty crazy in itself. I think we've created a cool little island oasis, as they say, here in Austin that is really just does actually transport people somewhere else. I think we've kind of made a whole kind of thing that, just you don't necessarily get it at all the other tiki bars you go to. So I don't know, it's pretty fun.
And you're the beverage manager?
I think I just got a promotion to beverage director, actually.
Beverage
director. Yeah, look at me go. Director, yeah.
Love it. All right, Diana, let's put you in the hot seat.
Okay.
So Tiki Cat in Kansas City was one of the, when it opened, it was probably one of the best tiki bars, according to people, in the United States, which is hard to do when you're a relatively new tiki bar. Obviously, Tiki Cat is no longer with us. Kansas City, unfortunately, doesn't have that. But what are you and your friends doing to keep tiki alive in Kansas City?
So we did lose Tiki Cat, as you mentioned, due to the pandemic, a lot of hardship. But, I still wanted to keep the momentum alive when it came to the Tiki movement that Tiki Cat kind of revived in Kansas City. And so I started doing pop-ups, and that basically took off. I didn't realize how much people really like Tiki in Kansas City until I started doing that. And I basically, was inspired by what I've learned in Tiki Cat, making those drinks, but I wanted to take my own take in the drinks itself. So adding like my own flavor profiles that I've grown up in South America from. And so I'm Bolivian, so I grew up in Bolivia, and, wanting to highlight those flavors, wanting to highlight rare spirits that you can also use in tiki cocktails, not just rum. And also highlight my own culture, because I am Bolivian, I'm Latina, so I wanted to represent that. Being in the Midwestern, there's not much diversity in the industry as much. So, I was trying to kind of showcase that and pave that way. And I think that's mostly what we're focusing on is diversity, inclusion, and also just trying to, put a little bit of our own spin in tiki. So mostly is tropical drinks, I would say, because they're not really classic tiki drinks. But,
Okay.
on a Mai Tai or a painkiller, I know how to make those. So I always try to make a classic on the menu, but I also try to highlight most of my own creations. Yeah.
I want to talk to you more about incorporating culture and identity into cocktails a little bit. But first, let's put Hannah in the hot seat. Hannah looks thrilled. Are you at Lost River right now?
I am. We're not open. I was just from the back bar lights on to make it look cool.
I got my Lost River shirt on.
Oh, thank you. Represent.
Yeah. So I was just having this conversation. It's one of those conversations that always comes up over and over and over again when people tip $1, for a cocktail. One cocktail, $1. And I kind of think that the days of tipping $1 for a cocktail are over. What do you think how much should someone tip?
Well, yeah, I do think that people aren't really tipping $1 anymore, which is nice, especially when it's a little more labor intensive. How much should you tip? I think it varies. I mean, if I go to like a regular dive bar, obviously I don't think $1 tip is that big of a deal for like a beer.
Well, if you're popping open a beer, that's one thing.
Right.
If you're doing a craft cocktail, that's
you're looking at, I think, at least $3 a cocktail. That's the base minimum. I don't know. It's hard. I mean, thankfully here at Lost River, most people are decent tippers, so it's not really something that think about that much. I guess. Kind of take
What about on tiki mugs? So, like, if people buy a tiki mug, should they tip on the tiki mug? Where do you stand on that? That's a more like controversial.
No, I mean, no. I mean, I'd welcome it, but I wouldn't say no to it.
Welcome.
So. But I'm never like disappointed if I don't get a tip on a tiki.
You're not going to chase them out.
No.
Never come back to Lost River.
Chase them down. No. Maybe we'll start.
All right, Adrienne.
Yeah.
Coming at you. So for people that are new to rum in general, is there a proper way to go about approaching a rum tasting, or do you have any tips for what to keep in mind when you're doing a rum tasting?
I guess it depends if you're being guided through your rum journey or if you're going solo. With a little bit of research, you could kind of find some rums to like whet your palate, for lack of a better word, but to try and dip your toes in the genre, right? Because I think a lot of folks, they find a spirit that is similar to something they like, and then they move from there. Like, okay, I like bourbon. Bourbon is safe. I like these specific bourbons that maybe are a little bit like sweeter, like, I don't know. I don't need to integrate bourbon, but moving forward, like you like bourbon, okay, cool. We can start there, right? Like we can find a rum that kind of speaks to that. Or if you're into agave spirits, there's rums that are maybe a little more vegetal, maybe a little grassy, and that might be an easy in for someone who's looking to get into a different category and just like explore. Because I think at the end of the day, it's just about exploring. It's not like one is better than another, or like I don't look at it as a way of like elevating. It's just you want like a safe way to move in. I find a lot of people get excited about really funky rum, and then they try to like force that funky rum on like a friend who's literally never had funky rum or overproof spirits in general, and you're like, here's this. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what I don't want. Like I love funky rum too, but you got to like read the room a little bit. Like if they're like, oh, I only drink vodka sodas, you're like, okay, well maybe like 800 esters isn't the day today. Like maybe we don't start there. Maybe we like slow it down. So yeah, I think it depends on whether you're being guided or not. But typically people find like a country of, a country of rums that speak to them, and then they kind of like explore through there. So
are there a couple of plantation rums that you would consider almost like safe bets for the average person?
Like a gateway? Yeah, I think so. I think, I mean, not just plantation rum. I think rum from Barbados is like a safe entry point for people from the U.S. who are used to drinking whiskey. I think Bajan rum is like an easy kind of like bridge, but yeah, it really just all depends. Like Scotch drinkers, they might want something a little bit bold, a little bit more fused, Ghana or St. Lucia. Like I think our Barbados 5 is pretty much like, that's the one I'm bringing today, the easiest.
Yep.
It's the easiest one. This is like not a challenging spirit. It's beautiful. It's balanced. It's like, it's not gonna ruffle any feathers, I think. But if you've never had rum and you're like, I don't know, the last time I had anything rum spirit based, it was probably like a spiced rum that was technically a vodka with like chemicals in it.
And it was in high school, and I had the worst hangover in my life.
Yeah. I got really like gag when I smell cinnamon, or whatever it is. Like I don't need to I don't want to hurt people. So I think Barbados is always a safe bet. Our Barbados 5 is always pretty safe. I like showing off 3-star, frankly, because it's surprising for people if they've never had white rum, which is often the case. Like they're afraid to drink white rum by itself because the white rum they've had have been like rums that were
horrific.
You were trying to bury. Yeah, just horrific or overproof, right? Like drinking really, really hot overproof rum to get drunk as fast as possible because you're like a teenager or something. Not that I'm condoning teenage drinking, but yeah, I think like the 3-star is a nice like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Like this is good. This isn't hard to drink, and it doesn't taste like poison. I'll have another. So I don't know. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, no, that answers the question.
Cool.
For me, it's peppermint schnapps. Don't do the peppermint schnapps. That stuff's brutal. With that said,
that's rough.
let's get Cory in here. All right, Cory. The Mai Tai. There's probably a better way to say this. Come to think of it, but the Mai Tai is often considered like the most bastardized cocktail, the tiki stratosphere, if you will. I believe you participated in a couple of Mai Tai competitions, the annual Dawn the Beachcomber Mai Tai Festival. Knowing what people have done to the Mai Tai over time, are there any ingredients that you personally would never put in a Mai Tai?
If it's a competition, I'll put anything in it. Yeah. I think
The gloves are off.
I've done that Mai Tai competition in Kona quite a few times, and I've gone anywhere from gardenia to, I don't know, cranberry tarragon syrup. Like, I've done some weird stuff in it. But like the Mai Tai we have at Tiki, I would say I'd go straight Trader Vic's style.
Okay.
I think I make the orgeat in a way to where there is a little bit of like Japanese flair or just flair in general to like balance the cocktail, but I don't do anything that's going to stray from that that old recipe. And like, we've gotten to a point where it's kind of like a ritual making a Mai Tai now, as far as just like freshly squeezing lime juice and like putting the lime hole on the top and expressing orange oils on top, like shaking them in. Like, it's a whole thing now at our bar. And we kind of changed it up a little bit just due to like not having as much lime juice waste, things like that. So we're just like doing like fresh lime juice for the Mai Tai specifically, and our daiquiris now too. But I don't know. I think if you're gonna do like a Hawaiian style Mai Tai, which I don't think they're that bad. I lived in Hawaii for like 6 years, and I personally like them. But I know that it's a faux pas around the world. But I think that's what a lot of people expect when they're ordering a Mai Tai still. So I think just guiding people the right way and all that. I don't think you should make fun of people for liking the old like Hawaiian style Mai Tai. I think it brings back a lot of nostalgia and things like that. But I think it should be clear on your menu that what's in it and all that kind of stuff.
I have some photos from my travels in Hawaii, and anytime I post them, and if they have a Mai Tai in it, people give me crap all the time. And it's like, this is on Hawaii. Like, I don't care what you think is an authentic Mai Tai. If you're drinking it in Hawaii, then like, you have nothing to complain about.
Yeah, drinks taste a lot different when you're like staring at the ocean or you're sitting on the beach or whatever it is. They do really taste different. So
I have a personal problem, Cory. I don't know if you can help me. When I make Mai Tai, specifically the orgeat, I have a problem with it separating. So like, you make the cocktail, you shake it up, you put it in the glass, and within a minute it starts separating. Is that caused by something specific? Do you know?
I'm sure just like has to do with the like just milk qualities in the almond milk. If you're making your own orgeat and not having enough stabilizers in it. I know for me right now, I used to use like xanthan gum or like guar gum and stuff to put in my orgeat, but I've been putting miso in my orgeat lately. And just adds a little savory touch, a little salinity, but it's also been, they haven't been separating either. Like, I haven't had to add any other like chemical stabilizers or anything like that since I've been using miso in it. And it's not a huge ratio. It's like 4% to the whole product. And it just gives it's kind of like just adding salt to whatever like citrus or sour drink anyways. It's a good thing. But that's been working really well. Also, just drinking them faster.
This is like 30 seconds, man. I like cocktails, but I'm not a tank.
Yeah, I think for sure if you're making your own, it's gonna separate if you don't add those stabilizers. But like I said, the miso for me has been working great.
I'm gonna try it out, and if it fails, I'm gonna hunt you down. All right, let's get Diana back up here. How's it going, Diana?
Hey.
Okay, so many folks who are interested or perhaps interested in Tiki may not come to Tiki because they don't drink alcohol for whatever reason, and it's not necessarily our business. I saw on your Instagram that you went a while without drinking alcohol. I think it was 6 months. Is there anything that we can do collectively as a tiki community to get people who may be interested in tiki and going to a tiki bar but aren't doing it because they don't drink alcohol to feel more comfortable?
Like for bartenders to do?
Yeah,
Like,
for bartenders, advertising.
oh yeah.
Anything.
I feel like there is an understanding that slowly the industry is moving towards is offering NA options on their cocktail menus. For me specifically, you know, having those options available on your menu opens up that conversation that, you know, you don't just have to come here and drink. Also, it helps also people that, you know, might have too many to drink that night. And, you know, having that option on your menu also helps them, you know, have that option. And I feel like so much of tiki itself, when you go to those bars, it's about the experience and, you know, making them feel welcome and having, you know, NA spirits available is also one way to go about it. I feel like sometimes with tiki cocktails specifically, when it comes to NAs, we use a lot of, you know, just syrups and juices and not so much, you know, other things that we could do, like using NA spirits and maybe adding some texture to it. I think it is possible to make some NA classic cocktails, but obviously they'll taste a little bit interesting because NA spirits can be a little bit tough. So you have to really, you know, kind of work with those spirits, like those NA products, and find a balance and maybe add, you know, some egg whites, maybe add some sort of texture that could balance that out. But I feel like more, if we want to make everybody feel welcome, we should move towards having those options on our menus. And I know I've talked about this a lot with some of my industry friends here, you know, and I feel like when I go to a bar, at the time that I was NA and I had that option on there, like I had the option to order an NA Negroni, for example, it made me feel very welcome. You know, I could have and like kind of blend in with everybody, you know, who I'm hanging out with. And it made me go back to those establishments over and over again. And that was the spots that I went to for 6 months. And then I would hear about other places and then I would go check them out, you know, and I feel like after the pandemic, a lot of people also started realizing, you know, about, you know, how much they consume throughout that time at home. And I think a lot of people wanted to just, you know, slow down and be a little bit healthier. And I feel like also our industry itself, we do have, you know, sadly, a lot of substance abuse and issues that also I feel like need to be talked about. And having those options behind the bar, like NA spirits. I know a lot of people are coming out with like NA, what is it called? Like a bitter, like an amargo or whatever, like an NA Fernet or whatever. You know, a lot of bartenders drink those like as a cheeky. And having that option, you know, gives that option to the bartenders too. Not just, you know, take a shot of like every 30 minutes or whatever. I don't know. I felt like I was very supported at the bars that I worked at when I was NA. You know, they gave me like a pineapple shot and we'll take that, you know, with them. But yeah, I feel like the more we provide that option on our menus, the more I feel like there's no questions that need to be asked. I know there's a bar here in San Francisco where I'm currently at that it's all NA and it's super popular. It's like NA and also low ABV cocktails. And I feel like we're going to see that more in the future. And I think, you know, it's coming up. January is coming up. You know, a lot of people are going to go dry again. And I feel like the NA spirit list is also going to just get larger and larger throughout the year. So I think if we work on it now, it's only going to get better and bigger. And it's also going to, I feel like, benefit the bartenders itself. And I think it's going to, you know, be a healthy work environment for a lot of places if we have those options.
I do also feel like there's always this weird, like back and forth in tiki bars of like kids like, can adults bring their kids to tiki bars? And when it's strictly alcohol, that can be kind of difficult. So maybe having some options, some of these immersive bars, then you can kind of make that a little easier to do it as a family thing.
Yeah.
With that said, Hannah, it's your turn again. The excitement, the joy. So I believe you've bartended at various events, like Makahiki, if I'm saying that right, and Tiki Oasis. No?
Tiki, well, not it's through Tiki Oasis. I guess Adrienne could probably explain better than I could, but in tandem with Tiki Oasis.
Okay.
And then Women Who Tiki. Okay.
I was wondering, like, how the experience of bartending at an event may be different than regular bartending.
Oh, it's pretty different. I mean, the biggest thing is just you rely a lot on like your flow and muscle memory behind the bar at your bar that you're familiar with, the station that you have set up a certain way, and I think the biggest thing is just nailing that down fast, because obviously more people are involved as far as who you're serving. Larger quantities of people, so
just the hordes of undead coming at you.
Yeah, so just acquainting yourself with the space really fast. But that being said, it's usually in some ways easier because it's usually less cocktails compared to like the menu we serve at Lost River, where it's sort of like 20 drinks plus or whatever. Usually the events only have like 2 or 3, so I guess it's pros and cons, yings and yangs, if you will.
I think you guys do like events there too, like your sci-fi nights. I think I've been seeing that. Looks like fun.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
We always, the thing that I love most about Lost River, among many other things, but probably the number one thing is we keep things really interesting with our events. We always have like new creative movie nights or all sorts of things. We'll create a few cocktails for the events that are special, and it's just really fun.
Do they always taste good, or is it just like, we gotta get a themed cocktail on the menu and rush them out?
It always tastes good. Usually we have like a lead time when the cocktail needs to be done by, so let's not throw them together.
Get it in under the wire like 30 minutes before. I was nervous with 13 nights of Tiki Frights. That's why we ended up getting Easy Tiki Drinks involved. Thank you, Easy Tiki Drinks. Because if I personally came up with 13 cocktails, I bet probably 10 of them would suck. So kudos to everyone that comes up with all these special event cocktails.
Yeah.
Adrienne.
Yes.
The pandemic kind of wreaked havoc on global supply chains in so many different industries. How did it affect rum manufacturers?
Oh, well, in Barbados, we had to switch completely, because everything else, the Caribbean in general has been extremely strict with lockdown. They had really strict curfews. They couldn't go to the beach, and pretty much everything was closed for a long time. The distillery, however, stayed open, and we did. Our team there, they kept producing alcohol for like hospitals and neighboring islands, because our distillery there is massive. We have the capacity to do upwards of like 50,000 liters a day. So it's huge, right? We had to kind of answer that call and kind of shift focus. What we had in stock in the US was, already made and safe and whatever. So for us in the US, it was mostly just like the usual kind of shipping woes that everyone else was experiencing, trucking and trains and, the transit issues. But as far as production goes, there was a huge shift where instead of making rum, for future barrels, we're like, well, we have to make sure that we're safe and that we can like keep facilities clean and answer that call. So that was kind of priority number one for us. And France too. We didn't shut down the distilleries in France. We stayed open and continued to work to make straight alcohol for cleaning purposes. But all these we made it through. The Caribbean is officially back open. Barbados, especially specifically, is back open, and that's good. So I encourage everyone to go there. Please, like, if you have the wherewithal to do so, keep Barbados on your list of islands to check out because it's lovely. And yeah, it was a long, quiet couple of years for the Caribbean.
And tourism is so important to so many of those islands.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, rum production is big, and obviously the tourism is such a huge part. A lot of Barbados tourism comes from Europe, actually, but we have a decent amount of American tourism that they're trying to encourage. There's direct flights from Florida and New York, and so I don't know, if I'm ever going, I try to like add a day in Miami, like, you know, go say hi to my friends in Miami and then leave the next day. But there's flights direct from those places, so I don't know.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. I'm very fortunate.
Change career paths.
Yeah, technically it's work. I'm going for work.
Is it pretty much are things caught up at this point in terms of the supply chains?
Yeah. I think we never ran out of rum. We never ran out of distillates. Right now, the real problem, and this isn't pandemic, this was going on before the pandemic, but molasses is a huge issue. Climate change and sourcing molasses has become a huge problem for all producers, not just, you know, the Barbados is a really small island, so we buy as much of the local molasses as we can, but the sugar pricing is not great for Caribbean sugar producers, and so there's just less molasses to go around. Everyone has to outsource, and that supply chain issue has existed for, well, now it's been a problem since before the pandemic. It's not getting better, so we're seeing a lot of producers kind of blending or trying to make sugarcane juice distillate and blending with their molasses distillates, because we have to, you know, we got to move with the times and continue to maintain sustainable practices. If it's not financially feasible to source molasses all the time, you know, how do we make that right? Yeah, because we're a huge producer, and we have to keep the lights on. We have to keep everyone employed, and we are a huge contributor to the Barbados economy. So it's important that we keep things afloat. So yeah, we're not the only ones kind of experimenting with sugarcane juice, but I've seen a lot of other producers also kind of channeling some effort into that arena for the first time, or maybe for like kind of like a revival technique from hundreds of years past.
Whatever you got to do to keep the plantation coming.
Yeah, more rum.
More rum.
But yeah, we don't have stock issues. There's plenty of rum to go around. We're maxing out right now our warehousing. So by this year, we should have 30,000 barrels laid down in Barbados, and we're looking to add at least 12,000 more next year.
Sounds
so
like a lot. I mean, I don't have any unit of measurement to compare that to, but that sounds like a lot of rum.
It is a lot. It is a lot of rum. Yep.
All right, let's get Cory back in here. Cory, I believe you worked at the Four Seasons Resort in Hawaii for multiple years. The beverage program in Hawaii versus a beverage program at a tiki bar, Tiki Tatsu-Ya. Like, what are some of the differences between those two things that you kind of have to factor in?
Very huge difference. I for a few years at the Four Seasons, I was just kind of running my own pool bar, and we kind of did spa style drinks, I guess you would say. So I was just like muddling cucumbers and jalapenos and mixing with gin and tequila and vodka. A little bit of rum here and there, but I did have a secret tiki menu that my bosses didn't know about, and that's how I started to get into tiki. There's a small like strip mall tiki bar in Hawaii called the Kola Luna, and when they opened, I got really into tiki drinks, and I ended up having my own kind of like secret tiki menu for like regulars. So we'd have regulars at the Four Seasons, like they'd come every like 3 months or so, and they would know about it, but like my bosses didn't even know about it. So it was kinda cool.
I know you know. Give me that good stuff. Don't give me that cucumber.
Yeah. So completely different kind of things. Like I was making drinks that kind of just like catered to like I'd say like rich California clientele. I suppose you could say. And then tiki drinks were my passion. I think just like learning about how to make the syrups and do that thing is that's where it really is with tiki drinks for me, is just like really nailing those syrups, like just making a really good cinnamon syrup with like 3 different kinds of cinnamon, and like having all the flavors balance on that, or making your own falernum or yada yada. And I think that just like amped up once I got to Three Dots in Chicago, and then like even amped up more once I moved down here and just started being able to make syrups with a centrifuge or whatever it ends up being to like enhance shelf life and making sure like syrups don't go bad, things like that. But yeah.
And with that said, let's get Diana back in the hot seat. All right, Diana, you mentioned it kind of briefly earlier. What are some of the ways that you're incorporating culture and identity into your cocktails with Condors Cove?
So one way that we do it, like we talk about like who we are, and what we're representing. Also just, using like I said prior to this question, rare spirits like Singani, for example, is a product from Bolivia. It's basically a brandy. I try to use that, to represent Bolivia. I feel like Bolivians don't really have a lot of representation, and we are eager to get more. I don't know how many Bolivians you guys know, but it's really.
I don't know that many. How many are in Kansas City?
I honestly probably don't really know. The cool thing about Condors Cove, though, we've had a lot of Bolivians come to the pop-ups who I've met because of that. They felt like, well, they read an article first, or they saw it online, and they saw there was a pop-up from this Bolivian woman, and that itself, like having that, like to read that and see that there's a Bolivian person doing something cool, that shows representation. And they came to my pop-ups a couple of times, like random families, couples who I've met, or like the best part is like they'll send me a DM on Instagram and be like, "Hey, I'm Bolivian. I live in Kansas City. I've never met any Bolivians here. I can't wait to meet you." And that really fills my heart, and I think hospitality does that. Like we bring people together, and the cool part about it is like if we can bring people from other cultures and make them feel heard and represented, that's even cooler. So having them on my pop-ups, that's always a plus. But then I actually have them meet, and I'm like, "Hey, actually, that table over there, they're from Bolivia too." And I play Bolivian music as well. I play like Latin music, like Buena Vista, but I also put a little bit of Bolivian music. Some of the Bolivian music can be a little bit like too slow to like have the hyped like a hyped room, but I get them, they point that out too at the pop-ups. They're like, "Oh my God, that song, that's a Bolivian song," and they acknowledged it and they know that. And that's super cool that like we can share those moments and talk about the cities that we're from and having them meet. That's the coolest part, because then they're like chatting for like hours and they're having more cocktails, right? And that's like that's what I think hospitality is about. And then that's a cool thing about representation and how it can bring people together. And then just the cocktails as well. I try to, not only do I use Singani, I use Pisco. Pisco is from Peru. Some people say Chile, but I'm not Peruvian. I'm not going to debate on that. But, cachaça from Brazil, like, trying to use those like fun, rare spirits that people are like not used to seeing in tiki so much. Yep. Specifically in the Midwest when it comes to like the tiki enthusiasts. And then talking about it, like where it's from and how it's different, and educating them on the products. and how it's used. So that's a way that we use, our background, trying to introduce people to other spirits, how to use it, maybe using papaya, the fruits in a juice or a syrup, guava, using all those flavors that can also incorporate really well with all those spirits. And I think the most for me, it's talking about, representation and like making sure that like hospitality scene can be heard when it comes to like people of color. So I also try to hire people that, are brown, but it's kind of hard because there's not many of them in Kansas City. But, we're trying. We're trying. But that's, there's many ways we can do that as well.
Do you think it's important for bartenders to? I've been to a lot of different bars where they just make the cocktails and, they're busy. So they're just whipping out the cocktails. And then I've been to bars where they kind of like sit back and they take more of like an educational approach to their customers where they're saying, this is your cocktail. This is what in it. This is what's in it. But this is why these ingredients are in the cocktail. And there's a reason and a science behind all of this. Do you think that is a conversation that should be had to patrons at tiki bars? Or
I think it's like a 50-50. I think it depends on like reading the customer, making sure that they want that information. Some people, when they come to the establishments, they just want to have a drink and just not really talk to anybody, or they're having a person next to them who they were catching up. You don't want to interrupt that conversation. I think it takes a little bit of reading the room first, and you can tell specifically when there's a tiki enthusiast at your bar. You can tell because they are like so excited or taking pictures or walking around. They're like, oh my god, and like you can tell like going that extra mile of the customer service or I would say does make a difference in their experience, and they'll definitely be happier. When I can tell that there's somebody there who's an enthusiast, for example, I go out the way to be like, hey, this is your first time here, having a small talk, and then, telling them like what do they like to drink, and when they order it, incorporate those like this is our zombie, like, or why we do this. I think that's important. I think making sure that you're reading the customer as well and making sure that that's what they want. Specifically, the tiki enthusiasts, we can tell that's what you want.
Okay, be honest. When you see a tiki enthusiast come through the door, okay, are you excited or are you like, oh God, not again?
Oh no. I think okay.
I've had a pretty good day. I can't do this. It's been going so well until you showed up.
No. I think it depends on like how busy we are too. I don't think everybody's fault specifically. I don't know. It's been interesting because like I've had different experiences at different bars. For example, Tiki Cat. We were like there was no standing room allowed. Everybody had to have a seat, and I think that really added that extra layer of customer service and experience in general. So we were able to talk to people more, and I felt like we were more like tour guides and bartenders because we had a lot of art and around the room that people wanted to know about. So there was more than just bartending. We also had to talk about why we chose to play the music that we play, and throughout the night, my jaw would start hurting. I will and that's when I would get tired. I would say at the end, you get the last like round of people that maybe are really excited. They're tiki enthusiasts, and I'm like, my jaw is hurting so bad. I'm starting to get ahead from talking, multitasking. But it's not necessarily them. It's just like it's just at the end of the night, you're wearing down and you're getting tired, but I think that was the cool part about Tiki Cat. I think, and the magic of it, it was the first spot I ever worked at where everybody was so excited to be there. It made you excited to be there and working for that bar. And the minute those doors open, there's a line of people just, smiling like we were like little celebrities. the world. And I was like, I'm just a bartender who makes the painkiller, you know? But that really changed my perspective of hospitality, and it really like made me fall in love with you know, the tiki community, and that's where I'm at still here. I would say Tiki Cat, and till this day I'm thankful for that bar. But now that I'm at Last Rites in San Francisco, you know, the program is different here. We do allow standing room, and it gets packed, like super packed, and there's not really room to like talk to a lot to tiki enthusiasts when they come in. I feel kind of bad, but they understand that, and I think it's like, you know, there's an understanding from us and them. Like, you know, there's different experiences at every bar, and it's just being able to accommodate as much as you can. I try to go out of the way and go behind the bar and like, well, out of the bar and like say hi to them if I see them and I have time. But you know, everyone.
Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Yeah, no, but it's. I mean, that's why we're here, right? Like to greet everybody and like, I don't know. I like it. I like them. Just at the end of the night, at Tiki Cat specifically, I would get so tired because like, I would be talking all night. Like that's Shag, that's Duckhorn, that's Thorn. And like there's so many pieces that we could touch on at Tiki Cat. It was literally a museum of art pieces. It was one of the coolest bars I ever worked at.
Okay, let's get Hannah in, and then we'll do some giveaways and a few questions for live roundtable discussion. Hannah, as a professional bartender, do you still enjoy going to other bars?
It's a good question. Overall, yes. I don't go out as much. So I guess I'm a little more choosy about where I go, just because I'm getting older, getting tired. So yeah, overall, I do enjoy going to other bars, but it's not like how it used to be, where it didn't matter.
Yeah, it's 3 a.m. We'll go out.
Right.
All right. With that said, we'll open it up to the group. But what are some of your biggest pet peeves looking at bars? Whether it's you know, just going to another bar and you see them, you know, putting stuff that's supposed to be refrigerated not in the refrigerator, or just stuff like that. Is there anything that just drives you crazy going to other bars?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when you've done the work for so long. Like I bartended for 17 years, and you look at any bar or restaurant you walk in, you're looking at their steps of service, you're looking at their organization. You literally can't just sit down and enjoy a meal or a drink without literally seeing where they put everything, how they stock their fridge. And it's like, yeah, and I'll get completely distracted just by watching someone like improperly stock a fridge, or like, you know, like put their like hands all over all the straws, or like, I don't know, just little things like the looking out for cleanliness. Like I try to just, you know, keep it tunnel vision because it's distracting. But my biggest pet peeve is like, this is a small thing. It mostly just happens at restaurants, but they give you a pitcher, like a pitcher, a jug of water. And then, you know, if you're with more than 2 people, let's use like 4 people at the table, you pour that out and it's empty. It's already empty. You already need another one. It's like, you know, that's my only pet peeve. Like I would
not enough water.
Like full glasses of water and a pitcher. I don't know. You
just want like 3 gallons of water at your table.
I just think hydration is very important.
Okay.
And we should stay hydrated. I know, and this is regional, because I know in like the West Coast, like you have to ask for water. It's not just free and plentiful, but yeah. So that's like a weird, dumb thing I had.
We had this debate earlier this week with the Ladies Who Tiki on our show about dehydrated fruit, where some people like dehydrated fruit and some people hate it in their cocktails. Where do you guys stand on dehydrated fruit?
I never use it, I guess. I don't think I'm fine with it being in my drink, but I never use it personally.
You don't get it and just like toss it aside, like, how dare you bring me this dehydrated
how dare you? I'm kind of indifferent.
Yeah, like I think if you're like going, like if you're working at like a fast based bar and, you know, like a cabana type of style, whatever, like a rooftop bar, for example, you know, it's a nice little touch and it's easy, whatever. Like, I don't really mind it. It is what it is. I don't really use it, but for my cocktails. But.
You're going to put it in my drink, whatever.
Now we incorporate both dehydrated and non-dehydrated fruit at Lost River versus throwing out fruit just because we have extra, you know.
Yeah.
So Lost River is non-discriminatory. There's all kinds of fruit.
New opportunity for if you're a fruit.
Yeah, I'm like, the more garnish, the better for me. I like a big presentation, but I know it's not really sustainable. And I would like to source, I'm going to like put this out in the universe and hopefully someone will answer the call. But I want someone to make a straining group straw or mug, like literally a mug that has like a straining element to it, like a sippy cup, but it's a mug, you know, like if you can make the shape, it might be a little bit harder to clean, but yeah, to get rid of straw.
What are we straining out of it?
The ice.
Oh,
the crushed
okay.
ice. Yeah, because there's no replacement for crushed ice.
What's in my tiki cocktail that I have to strain?
It has to be crushed. We're gonna need to continue with crushed ice. There's no replacement for that I know of, and I can't. I'm not a scientist. I can't think that far ahead. But like, I feel like there's a mug engineer out there that could come up with something really stunning.
There you go.
Yeah, or a straw. You know, like the julep. Like a julep strainer straw, like they have for like yerba mate, you know, like a strainer, but instead of tea leaves, it's straining chunks of ice, something like that.
All right, real quick, let's do a giveaway. We're gonna give away some Kim Bang stuff. We're gonna give away some swizzle sticks.
Nice.
Naughty Cat swizzle sticks from Kim Bang. And also this swizzle stick, which is a moon with a spooky bat, and it kind of like dangles on your cocktail. So that's fun. How we're going to do this, I'm going to ask you a question. The first person to get the question correct in the comments is going to take home the Kim Bang swizzle stick set. And the question is, was mentioned earlier on the stream, in what year was Plantation Rum first introduced? Write the answer in the comments. First person to get the answer correct, what year Plantation Rum was introduced, will get to take home all of these swizzle sticks from Kim Bang. And for you guys, what is the best way for someone who's interested in making cocktails but doesn't have a teacher to start learning cocktails at home?
YouTube maybe, I don't know.
I was gonna say YouTube.
That's, I mean, honestly, like when I started getting into cocktail bartending, I was living in Hawaii and I didn't really have a teacher, so I looked at a lot of YouTube videos at the time. I think eventually I had to like go and get taught by people that knew more than me, but it was a good base for sure. But I wouldn't just go by one recipe. I would look at like a whiskey sour recipe, but I'd look at 20 whiskey sour recipes online and figure it out. So see which was the best, or like incorporate a couple things from each one or whatever. So
are you saying like pick one cocktail a month? In like the month of October, I am only doing Negronis and I'm going to have 30 Negronis.
Well, yeah, I think actually I got to a spot where like at my home bar like had 150 different like alcohols on it or whatever, and I was just making drinks for me and my roommates, and yeah, I would do like a Negronis for however long, and we finally figured out what tasted the best and whatever. Like, so yeah.
Let me guess, Cory, it wasn't equal parts. That's a pet peeve. I refuse to do equal parts Negronis. Do not at me. It's not right. It's not. There's no such thing as a perfect equal parts Negroni. That's
I don't
wrong.
know.
False.
Okay, so guys in the comments, let's vote. Do we kick Adrienne out of the stream? We did have a winner. So the question was, in what year was Plantation Rum first introduced? The answer, I believe, is 1999. Scotty Cycles got it correct. So Scotty Cycles, you get these swizzle sticks. However, because you used an alias, I don't know how to contact you. So send me a message, admin@searchfortiki.com, to claim your swizzle sticks. Do you guys have like either a least favorite ingredient or a least favorite cocktail to produce?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't have to go first, y'all.
Usually
I'll go first. I was working on it the other day. Singapore Sling for me is
Really?
fine. Yeah. It's just it's something I can never get perfect, I don't think.
I would say Pearl Diver. I love a Pearl Diver, but the butter
Yeah.
and the gardenia mix, it's just annoying.
Yeah, it makes cleaning your
We
tins
just use
like
the
a
glass
nightmare.
without the
For
actual
the
Pro Diver.
tins and glasses reason, not the
Yeah.
flavor.
I feel like
We were at enjoying cocktails at Wusong Road Tiki Bar, which is a new bar in Cambridge, Mass. And this is before like we've become friendly with the owner Jason and all the bartenders. But before that, we were sitting at a table, and my girlfriend Angela really wanted to order an aku aku. And right before she ordered it, she heard the bartender behind the bar say, "I hate these aku akus. If I have to make another one of these tonight, I'm out of here."
Wow.
Why? Because it's blue?
And so he was saying it in a funny way. So I made that sound more like aggressive than it was. Like he was having a good time, but he effectively scared us from ordering the aku aku.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
That's sad.
Aku Aku is my bartender's least favorite drink to make.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't love, straw testing everything. I don't love passion fruit. I'm like the worst tiki bartender that way because it's my least favorite ingredient. But, then you have to straw test like yet another passion fruit cocktail. And you're like, man, I know it's easy. I know it's like, it's an easy drink, but dang, that's tough.
Do you think it's important to like straw test? Is that necessary or unnecessary?
Oh yeah, it keeps me up at night. I don't know about the other bartenders, but like you'll never forget that one drink. You're like, oh my God, I forgot the, fill in the blank ingredient. And you're like, I should have straw tested it. Oh no. Like it haunts you forever.
Has it ever actually come back to haunt you? Like the customer's like,
I mean, no, not the customer. No, they go on with their lives. But
they're just like, whatever, I'll drink this. It's fine.
Yeah, you mentioning it, I'm triggered. I won't be able to sleep tonight. Your whole situation.
That was my goal.
13 nights of
Another
Friday.
giveaway: Black Lagoon Rum Parrot Pin. For those watching, we mentioned Smuggler's Cove a couple times. Smuggler's Cove in San Francisco has a rum society. What is the name of the Smuggler's Cove Rum Society? Whoever guesses the answer correctly in the comments first gets to take home this pin from the Black Lagoon Rum. Do you guys have a cocktail Bible, like a recipe book that you hold in great esteem?
Oh,
Well, like Smuggler's Cove, for sure. And then Tiki Minimalist. I think that's how you say it. Minimalist.
minimalist tiki.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those two
same
are
difference.
my favorite.
Yeah.
We
So
did
good
get the correct answer. So congratulations. It is the Rumbustion Society. You won this parrot pin from the Black Lagoon Rum. Again, send me an email, admin@searchfortiki, to claim your pin prize because I won't be able to contact you otherwise. One thing that drives me crazy about tiki bars, which is historically it's always been present. I don't know how we get rid of it, but it's theft in tiki bars. Do you guys have any ways that you deal with theft, like in your bars, and in a preventative way?
I love it. I used to live for that. There were days, I mean, at Three Dots and a Dash, it was like easy because there was a lot of security and they like have eyes on everything and they got like the radios in the ears. But at Lost Lake, it would be like, you just watch somebody like try to be sneaky. And then, man, I would just come over and just haze them in the nicest way and be like, oh, I see you wanted to take that mug. Like, oh, I know. Yeah, let me get you a new one. Don't worry, I already added it to the tab. Like, if anybody else wants to see like other mugs, just let me know. But you don't have to take the dirty one. I'll give you a clean one. And then it magically reappears. Or like one guy, he put a mug like on the ground, like next to his backpack, as if I wasn't going to notice. Like he's sitting in the bar. And I just walked over and I was like, oh my God, Aaron, there's a mug on the ground. Can you believe it? Like, how did it get here? And I just was like standing right next to him. talking to the bartender on the other side of the bar, like just making a joke about it. Like, have you seen this mug? And I'm like asking the guy as if I didn't actually see him put it on the ground, which was hilarious. So, just make them a little uncomfortable. It usually comes back.
Do any of you guys require like a credit card? Like if you serve cocktails and drinks? Nope.
No.
Yeah.
We had
start keep an eye, I guess, and then hope someone tries.
at Wusong Road, they had someone actually take a rug.
a rug.
He had some kind of like fancy rug from another country, and someone came in and they rolled it up and they took the rug out of the bar.
Oh my god!
Stop.
What's the weirdest thing that any of you have seen people try to lift from a tiki bar?
I mean,
We have
literally.
life-size cardboard cutouts of celebrities that we rotate based on when they either get taken, which happened once, they take them to a party bus, on a party bus, or their head gets just ripped off and put in the toilet or something. But
Oh man.
the natural life cycle.
Someone like dump out an entire group drink that they didn't even finish. They had like 2 sips. It was like 3 guys, and they just like dumped out the whole bowl on the ground, which like they were kind of drunk, so some of it dumped on themselves. And then he was just like trying to hide this like giant conch shell under his hoodie. And I'm like, sir, what are all those pointy bits in your hoodie? Like, it's just a mug. He was like, oh, I thought it came with the drink. Like, really, dude? That's why you dumped it on the floor? Hilarious.
Is this an outdoor pop-up, or do you have someone dumping?
No, that was indoors.
What?
Fully indoors. Yeah, that was at 3 Dots and a Dash. 100%.
Yeah, there's
way.
lots of stuff on the floor at 3 Dots.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and like I said,
crazy.
security's great. Like there's people in the bathroom, like checking, like bathroom attendants are checking. Everyone is, it's kind of like a fun game. Like, oh, do you have eyes on table, 302 is trying to steal a mug, like eyes on 302. And you're just like, I don't know, you catch them. It's usually kind of a fun challenge.
Keep going by. Keep going by and grading them.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
It's
the
true.
attention to service here is just crazy.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, things get stolen. That's why mugs are super expensive, right? Like they're not cheap to make. It's a huge commitment to have mugs, especially if they're personalized or custom. Like, man, it's not fair. Like,
Yeah, definitely.
steal all the stuff.
When I was working at 3 Dots, we got into a spot where we had to bring the tiki mug prices up so high that we had Tiki Farm coming into us. Like, we had a meeting with them. They're like, why are you charging so much? It's like, this is what's making us break even on these tiki mugs, is charging this much on them. So
It's sad that unfortunately mug collectors have to pay the price for the people that are just swindling mugs out.
Yeah.
3 Dots and a Dash is a good example, though, where there's like tiki bars have an issue today in regards to their clientele, where the Exotica crowd tends to be an older demographic, 40s, 50s. And then the younger demographic may be what you need to bring in to keep the bar afloat. And it's like, I want the tiki bar to exist, so I don't necessarily have a problem with younger people coming in and playing the tropical house, EDM, banger music. But some people have an issue with that. I think 3 Dots, they created like a separate room. Am I right in that for like more of the Exotica crowd, and then the rest of it is kind of party?
It's like rum specific. The bamboo room is like maybe more elevated cocktails, a lot of like spirit forward and not just straight tiki, and they have a huge rum selection on the bamboo room side. So different drink menu. I don't know that it's more like geared towards older folks. I think maybe like Exotica crowd or older folks in general might prefer it just because it's quieter, but it's going to be a different experience for sure.
So totally different vibe. Let's do, we got, so before the big mug giveaway, we got one more giveaway of cocktail umbrellas from the Tiny Umbrella, hibiscus flower cocktail umbrellas. Which one's backwards? One was backwards. Where is it? This is going to be a harder question. So I guess it may come down to who Googles, unless you're a serious rum aficionado. The question is, Black Tot Day is when the Royal Navy's daily rum ration stopped. What date is it? So what date is Black Tot Day? Let us know in the comments, and you will take home some hibiscus cocktail umbrellas. And with that said, guys, I think we're getting to the end here of my questions. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you all on. Super fun talking to you. Do you think, one last question, I guess, a lot of bars, or I shouldn't say bars, restaurants in general are getting concerned about inflation that's coming up. Tiki is kind of in a strange space where if people stop taking vacations, they may want to go the affordable route where a tiki bar is kind of like a mini vacation. At the same time, like bars, when you have only a certain amount of money, going to a bars, are the bars that you guys work with doing anything to kind of prepare for inflation? Is it a concern?
Not here.
Not really? No. Business as usual.
Way to bring it up.
January typically is like one of the slowest months anyways in hospitality. I feel like January, it's like, because everybody goes dry, so we're kind of ready for that, and it's very common. But I don't know about inflation. I mean, there's talks about it, but we're not getting it ready.
Whether it happens or
January, we're like, January's coming. It sucks. That month sucks.
I guess I'm like hypersensitive about it, and this is why I wanted to bring it up, because I love tiki. I'm super passionate about tiki cocktails and the bar scene and everything about it. And over the passage of time, there have been many tiki bars that went under. And there's this mentality of, this golden age thinking of, wow, if only I could have gone to the Kahiki Supper Club. And I think sometimes we forget that, there are tropical immersion bars near us now. And if, we spend less time bemoaning the losses of the past and more time actually patronizing our local bar establishments, maybe they'll get to stay open, and we won't have this cyclical thing in the cocktail community where bars are opening and closing and opening and closing. So guys, go support your local bars.
Yeah.
We did have the correct answer. So someone is a rum aficionado. The answer is July 31st. Jamie Laidlaw, congratulations. You won some cocktail umbrellas from the Tiny Umbrella. And with that said, I think that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great time with all of you. Thank you guys for tuning in to 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. We will announce the winner here momentarily of this mug, which is this guy right here. This is the passenger mug. It was designed by Scott, who goes by Flounder, for Tiki Farm, which is the world's largest manufacturer of ceramic tiki mugs. They did sponsor our giveaways in addition to Plantation Rum, which obviously we've talked about a lot tonight. But thank you to both of them for sponsoring 13 Nights of Tiki Frights. And with that said, dramatic drum roll. Oh, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. The drums. Christopher Roth. Congratulations, Christopher Roth. You have won the passenger cocktail mug from Tiki Farm.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah.
And have a good night.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all.